Hi, Justin.
Hello, Pam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ooh, I hear movement. Hi, I got to switch it. I think I've still got Wi-Fi going.
All right, looks like you're frozen.
Okay, I'm back again.
Oh, there you are.
All right, and you can hear me, so
Yes.
technical difficulties. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're dealing with pushy me. I mean, God. Hey, if you see the cat jump on the counter behind me and go after my sausages, let me know.
nice.
Okay.
All right.
I got him cooling on the counter.
Myself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Just say hi to everybody. Say hi to everybody.
2.
Yeah.
5, 6. All right. Well, it looks like everybody's here. If you guys are ready, we can get rolling. Call the town of Northwood Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting to order at approximately 6:31. As chair of the Northwood Zoning Board of Adjustments, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. And we'll do a roll call for who is present. Pam Sanderson.
Present.
Ted Wilkinson.
Here.
Brenda DiMatteo.
Here.
Betsy Colburn. Betsy.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. And we have Tom Johnson.
I'm here for the one case.
All right, and myself, Justin Miller. Voting designations will be Pam Sanderson, Justin Miller, Brenda DiMatteo, Betsy Colburn, and Ted Wilkinson. Mr. Johnson will only be involved in the rehearing case. And we will move. Oh, all right. So we have the minutes. Did everybody receive the minutes of March 22nd, 2021? All right. Did anybody see anything that needed to be adjusted, changed, corrected?
Actually, yes, Justin.
All right, Brenda, go ahead.
Just again, I think it's just minor, but I did mention it, didn't see it in the minutes. When we were discussing case 21-1, we were looking at septic plans, and the septic plan had a different address and map number than all of the variance applications. The plan is for 427. Well, it states on the septic anyway. It's for 427 Bow Lake, not 426 as stated on the application. And the map is stated as being 102, map number 102, not 105. as it appears in the application. I just wanted that to be noted. I'm sure it's just like, you know, a Scribner's error or something, but it's concerning that things are different.
Right, so we
It
just
is,
want,
it is that the applicant owns both addresses.
I understand that. Yeah, she pointed that out. I just wanted to be very sure that, and according, you know, when you look at it, the road is in the correct place. And not the plot plan, but the septic plan, the numbers are different.
Oh, 10521.
so,
Let
We just-
me get my hands on it again. Should have it handy, and I didn't.
no. Where am I?
Susan, do you know offhand what the date is that you mailed the minutes?
Hey, did I mail them out, the packets?
Emailed
Um,
to the members?
I mailed them hard copies. Sorry.
March 4th.
Did I email them to you too? Sorry. I thought I
I'm
just
not
said-
seeing them. That's why I was asking.
Well, they're on the server too. So, I thought I mailed you guys hard copies. Did I email them as well? I can't remember.
I didn't get an email.
No, so initially, Susan, we got an email like right after the meeting the next day with the rough draft of the minutes. And then you sent a hard copy in the mail, and it was postmarked March 4th, 2021. And that was of the minutes and a larger septic design for the Bonifant case.
Right.
Or a larger
So-
one.
So
I
Brenda,
can-
so Brenda, are you your concern is, tell me if I'm wrong, that for case 21-1, it's 426 Bow Lake Road, map 105 lot 21. And that's not the case, that's not the property that this is at. Is that correct?
I'm trying to locate my copy of the septic plan on the,
All right, Brenda, as you're looking for that.
yeah,
I'm gonna
as on the copy, I'm trying to get my hands on the address on the plan is not, yeah, it's not the same, and the map number is not the same.
All right.
And I know the applicants stated that the address is the address that they live at, that they own both, you know, they reside in one property and the variance is for a property across the road, which they also own. It's just a concern that maybe we should make sure that that septic plan is for the property requesting the variance.
All right.
And
Pam,
I'm
you
sure
had
it
your-
is. I just want it noted that I did make note that the numbers weren't matched, that the numbers were not the same.
All right. Pam, did you have something about this issue?
Yeah, I was going to say that I concur. I do recall Brenda bringing this up. And in the minutes, it says 426 Bow Lake Road. It is in fact 427, the property. And it says map 105 and the septic map says 102. So maybe
Correct.
just amend the minutes to include that Ms. DiMatteo made that notice. And we can bring it up again maybe when we get to the case.
Okay. And Betsy, did you have anything different? You had your hand up?
I was going to say the same thing. 427 is the actual number of what we're dealing with. 426 is her number.
Okay. All right. So Susan, do you think you could just put that in?
Yeah, I'll
minute?
just add
Okay.
that part in.
All right, thank you. And I had a few small minor, it was just probably typos I saw along the line, in the minutes. Page 2, line 13. And the second 1999 on the right side, it says 199.
Okay.
And then let's see. Page 3.
Justin,
Oh, sorry, Betsy.
I have another one on page 2 if you want to go by page.
Okay, sure, let's do that.
Line 35. Tonight, one word.
That's good. Thank you.
Tonight.
Page 3. So I have on line, so it's 19 down to 21. I'm going to read the whole sentence because I'm a little confused at the end of the sentence here. Because it's in the public interest to uphold the spirit of the ordinance. The Supreme Court has held that these two criteria are very related. And if you meet the other. So I don't know if I'm just not reading that right. Is there supposed to be anything further than, and if you meet the other? Is it just saying that if you meet one, you have to meet the other?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's what.
All right. Just, it sounded weird the first time I read it.
Okay.
But right after that, line 21, where it says he, I think that's supposed to be the.
Okay.
Anybody else on page 3? Betsy?
Line 29, to the far right, which? WHICH?
Favorite one.
And line 35, is lots supposed to be plural?
Good.
Yeah. On to page 4. Anybody have anything on page 4? Betsy, go ahead.
Line 3, the word held, is that supposed to be upheld?
Let's see. Town report held that.
I think it's a position.
Yeah.
I think that's just a position. The court took the position.
Okay. Anything further? Let's page. You all set with page 4, Betsy?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to page 5. Anybody?
Line 19,
19.
far right, envelope with an E.
Good catch.
And then line 32.
Here.
Here, H-E-R-E.
Right.
Yeah. Page 6.
There.
Yeah, go ahead, Betsy.
Line 32, it, small t. Line 23, road, ROAD.
Yep. Page 7.
38, the year, 2021.
I got one at line 6. Stated that.
Right.
Sorry, my minutes don't have, because I don't have the line numbers on it. What are you talking about the year, Betsy? Where is it?
The next meeting is April 26, 2021 instead of 2020,
Page
down near
7.
the bottom.
Right before the motion.
And because mine are down, it's not the page numbers. Okay, never mind. It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out.
Susan, the copy on the server I pulled up and it does have the numbers still in it, so you can go from the,
I'm doing it from an email, so it's fine. I'll just re-listen to this and get all the information. It's fine. I just forgot to print one out for myself.
Page 7. Anything further on page 7? Page 8 or anything further? Nine.
can I just ask that somebody bring up on the case, because that was mentioned, that where it says 426 Bow Lake Road, map 10521, that it add applicant is proposing to build a year-round residential home on, and then give the address of where the actual location is with the correct map and lot number.
Sure. So we'll add in applicant is proposing to build a year-round residential home at 427 Bow Lake Road, tax map 102, lot 21, and request the following relief. We'll add
Right.
that to the minutes right under
Thank
K
you.
21-1. If there's anything else anybody saw through the minutes, please just grab my attention. Susan? Yeah.
105 lot 21 is what she has on her application.
It's
Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll figure it out.
yeah.
So,
Oh, that, yep, it is. But anybody have anything to add to those minutes? They looked good. It was a long meeting. We're looking for a motion for the minutes.
Move.
There's a motion from Betsy. They have a second?
Second.
Second from Ted. Any further discussion? So, Pam, how do you vote on the minutes?
Yes.
Brenda,
yes.
Ted,
On the minutes as amended, yes.
Betsy,
Yes.
myself, Justin, yes. This point, we're moving on to a rehearing, and I'm gonna hand the chair position to Vice Chair Pam Sanderson.
And I'm recusing.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are for the rehearing of case 20-1, June Kulikowski, Big Buck and Bigelow Road, map 125, lot 23 and 24. Applicant seeks to build a 2-bedroom residential home and requests the following relief. Variance to Article 4B, 2 subsection B for lot size. It does not meet the zoning ordinance. Combined lots have 0.53 acres where 2 acres are required. And a variance from 4 section B to subsection B, upland soil. The 2 lots have 0.28 acres of contiguous upland soil where 1.0 acres of contiguous upland soil is required. Voter designation with Ms. D'Amato recused is Ted Wilkinson, Justin Miller, Betsy Coburn, and sitting in will be Tom Johnson, who was also here on March 22nd for the first part of this. We left off with, we had already read the criteria and we received some new information. And I did not know if the applicant wanted to speak on the new packet or new information that was submitted.
I did not receive any of the new information.
You did not.
I did
It was
not.
an email that came, email that came through. Hold on, my screen went to sleep.
Maybe.
This is a problem because it's a substantial packet. So help me out here, Linda. Stars. Zoom.
What's the date on the email, please?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
Additional requested info. I've got April 19th. Nope, that's budget, excuse me. Kulikowski data. This is a forward from Mr. Aller, or from to Suzanne from, well, I guess from Suzanne, April 16th. And it was a forward of Kulikowski data from Linda Smith and sent to, I don't know if it's blind copies. It says FYI. So Linda, you sent it to zoning, which should be all of us if you've got us in that group. I don't know if Mr. Johnson is included in that group.
Well, I also see Susan afterwards said she was going to forward it, and I believe he is in the group.
Thought he was in the group.
Yeah, I have it from, it's the updated plan. So there's the large, it's 55 pages. Last 3 pages are the actual site plans with adjustments, and the first 52 pages are the drainage, soil analysis, and the storm runoff. So it is important that the voting designation see this done. So, you did not get it, Mr. Miller. Did you receive it?
I did. I forgot all about it, but yes, I do have it. I did look at it. I have it.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Yes, I do. I
Mr.
received
Wilkinson,
it.
do you have it?
Yes, I
It
do.
looks like it
Thank
got
you, Ms.
forwarded to whoever's in the group zoning board. And that's, yeah. Linda and I were both
We don't know if
answering.
Mr. Johnson.
I,
Mr. Johnson might not have received this.
What was the date of the email?
16th.
16th.
I did add him into the zone. I don't know what might have happened, but.
And it would have been from Linda Smith. And Betsy, did you receive it? Thank you.
Yeah, I can't see who's in that group, so.
Yeah, I didn't receive it.
So I guess the options are at this point, if the applicant wants to proceed with 4, if Mr. Johnson wants to participate and would like to request the other members to continue the meeting until he has a chance to review it. There's several options that you could take.
So we could, if Mr. Johnson would like, because I know you want to expedite this, we could, with the applicant's permission, bump them to second place, take the second case first and give you time to review this material. If Linda or Suzanne would email it to you immediately.
How much,
Well,
how much material is there? Is it something he's going to explain?
It's 52 pages of soil data, and then 3 of the site plan, which you probably will want to view in detail. But
Is he going to present that on a
the
screen?
data pit,
Are we done with public input? Is he going to present this on a screen that I could follow, or?
whom is that from? I hear a voice, yes.
Scott Frankowitz from New Hampshire.
Scott, yeah.
I do plan on presenting it.
Well, then I'm comfortable hearing it for the first time on, in his presentation.
All right, and meanwhile, can we get that to Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I'll send it to him right now.
Yep, and again, Tom, the last 3 pages will have the big site plans, and the first 52 are the data.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I could just ask before we start that, just to clarify that that there was no other correspondence that came in. I don't know, there may be somebody here that would like to speak to it before we close the public hearing.
I haven't got to that. I have not got to that yet. So 1 second. So
I haven't received anything.
yeah,
I haven't either.
let's pause 1 second. To the applicant, is it okay if we move ahead with Mr. Johnson being satisfied with viewing your presentation?
Yes, we're good with that.
Okay, thank you. So essentially, we'll go to where we started, which was asking you if you had anything you'd like to state about the new information you sent. Then I will go to board for general questions. I will ask for abutters or any email or letter that we may have received. And then we have already done the criteria and testimony. If you'd like to amend that in any way, we have that opportunity. So right now, if you'd like to tell us about your new information.
Yes, thank you very much. And good evening, everyone. Brett Allard with Bernstein Shire on behalf of the applicant, June Kulikowski. As you see, we're joined tonight by Scott Frankowitz and also Damon Burt, as we were at the last meeting. I just wanted to make one quick comment before I turn it over to Mr. Frankowitz to discuss the updated plan and drainage report that he submitted. There was some talks at the last meeting about potentially applying for a special exception for a grandfathered lot under section 7C. I think Mr. Johnson brought that to our attention. We did take a close look at that. I conferred with town council about it, and we determined that it wouldn't be practical for us to go for that because one of the special exception criteria, essentially the way it works is section 7C allows you to develop grandfathered lots, non-conforming lots with a special exception if you meet the various criteria. And one of those criteria is that you have a 75-foot well radius that does not extend beyond the property boundary. And given the configuration of this lot, it wasn't possible for us to do a well radius that didn't extend beyond the boundary. And I talked briefly with town council about, well, can you get a variance from a special exception criteria? And both of our opinions are you really can't do that. You either meet the special exception criteria or you don't. And if you don't, then you get a variance for the project overall, which is what we've been doing since day one here. here. So that's an update on the reason why we did not file a subsequent request for the special exception criteria. After conferring with town council, we both agreed that it wasn't a viable option. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Mr. Frankowitz to take us through the drainage report and the updated plan.
Okay, Scott Frankowitz from New Hampshire Land Consultants. What we submitted was a drainage report prepared by myself. If I could share my screen, I will show you one of the plans. Everybody see that?
Yep.
So one of the plans in the report is lengthy, but what it is it's 5 storms. We analyzed the 2, 10, 25, and 150 and 100-year storm. That's why it made it so big. Each storm is about 10 pages, and it analyzes the runoff going through the culvert and then eventually exiting the property. In all cases, all through those storms, we are equal or less than existing, which is our goal is not to increase flow off the site in any drainage analysis. So what we did is there was talk about the runoff from Big Buck Road and from Bigelow Road coming onto the lot and how that was going to be controlled. So what we did, we modified the plan to show a swale along Big Buck Road, which comes down and eventually goes through a culvert that's underneath the proposed gravel driveway and discharges down into the wetlands. And then along Bigelow Road, we did the same thing, creating a high point at the intersection and collecting all that drainage down through and discharging into the wetland. And in turn, also upgrading that area that's been an area of yard debris and dump for who knows how long on this lot. We're going to rework that and create that swale so the drainage is controlled in that area. And I can go through the report if you want. It's a lot of numbers and different things. This is the report I'm showing now. It has an introduction and pre and post development. The way we designed the methodology, and the summary is that, and this chart's important, is to show that pre-development, these are the cubic feet per second of runoff, and this is our post. And as you see, all the post is less or equal to the existing, which is the goal. And then as you go through, it shows you the extreme runoff, the numbers we have to use per storms, the 10, the 2, 10, 25, 50, and 100. These are inches per 24 hours that we have to use for the analysis. And as you see, 2.9 inches, 4.3. And these are the ones that DES, if we are filing for an alteration of terrain permit, would require us to use these numbers. And then we go in, we have to analyze the soils that are on site, what hydrological group they're in. And then it gets into the meat of the report. And this is subcatchment and how it runs off the site. And those are the numbers throughout the report showing the proposed and the pre or the existing conditions. I don't know if you want me to walk through any of that, but it's all just numbers and gravel and grass and woods and how the site is developed.
I do have a question. Through multiple pages, I happen just to be on page 37. I'm running backwards from the plans. Numerous pages, it mentions total runoff area of 0.404 acres. And lot size of 0.404 acres, and the applicants for the 0.53 acres, which includes that wetland. So through the existing conditions and the soil analysis pages and the quantity of acreage per type of land and soil analysis and runoff, it seems like the wetland area is just excluded from this report.
It is.
And I just wondered why.
Well, I'm showing you the plan right now. It's a subcatchment plan, and this that dark line is the area of what we analyze, which includes partial roads, the woods, and the grass areas. And our analysis point is the discharge to that wetland. So that wetland is the same pre and post, so it's not going to change the report however you look at it. So our analysis point is what's being discharged into that wetland for volume in cubic feet per second. So if we included that, it wouldn't change the report. It would change numbers maybe, but it wouldn't change the end result. Because you'd be adding the same thing to the existing and to the proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I can answer any questions on this, any other questions if there's any more. That's all. I could go through the numbers, but they're pretty boring and straightforward if you look at them. It's just comparing proposed to existing. In this second sheet is the proposed subcatchment plan. You break it up because water's going different ways on the proposed from where it was on the existing. Everything existing's kind of coming from the two roads and spilling into the wetland. And then on the proposed, it's with the swale going down Big Buck, swale going down Bigelow, and a couple other areas. They're a little bit different, so we analyze everything, including the size of the culvert under the driveway. That's analyzed to make sure that is sufficient size to handle any runoff going down through there, which it is.
Okay. Shall I move on?
Yes, in my opinion.
Does the board have any general questions?
No.
Ted, any questions?
Nope, not now. Thank you.
Okay, none from Justin. Mr. Johnson, any questions on the pages? I know you're.
I'm good.
All right. Again, oh, and I'm sorry, Ms. Coburn, any questions?
Good.
Okay. Again, my questions only hold to the area that really isn't covered. I like what you're doing here with the runoff plan and all, certainly the culvert under the driveway. Again, my concern is this wetland area at the bottom with the accumulated water flow coming in, which is admittedly going to be a little different than it has been historically. I'm looking at your culvert above your well in a very close proximity. Kind of wondering about that and runoff and well, but I'm also wondering about the potential of seasonal water accumulation down in the wetlands, and looking to make sure that, you know, when we have somebody going in on a hill with the upland slope, there's a concern about those that are downland. What happens with the water on your property going on to theirs? So I think this is where my mind is looking for more clarity. So perhaps if anybody could help me with that.
Yeah, I can. The whole point of doing this drainage analysis is to confirm and guarantee, is to confirm that the runoff coming from the property existing is either equal to or less than in the proposed conditions, which is what this report proves. So the water leaving this site is no more than what's existing. So that I think that answers the question. That is the impact to the abutter is going to be worse. No, it could actually be better.
That is a possibility. You do have that option. Yeah. All right, I will ponder that. Thank you. Anybody have anything else for general questions?
Nope.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead. Okay. Any abutters present that would wish to speak? Susan, are you hearing from anybody or?
No, I don't see anybody.
We received any correspondence?
Not that I've
Have we
seen.
received any correspondence?
Nope.
And Linda, any correspondence your way? All right. So as we have already done the criteria. Is the applicant okay with letting the criteria read on the 22nd stand, or is there anything you'd wish to amend in the criteria?
No, nothing we would wish to amend in the criteria. We'll we'll incorporate by reference all of my comments in that regard to tonight, if the board would like to do that as a technical matter. And then I know you had some concerns about the drainage that you were talking about with Mr. Frankowitz just now, and I just wanted to really reiterate that he's taken a close look at this and prepared that very detailed report. And at the end of the day, as he said, it's comparing current existing pre-development runoff levels with post-development runoff levels. And at the end of the day, we're either not affecting anything because I think it was for the first year bracket of storms, it stayed the same. And then after that, it actually improved slightly. So in terms of what's happening with drainage beforehand and what's happening with drainage post-construction, not only is there no negative impact to the wetland, no negative impact to abutters, but we're actually improving the drainage situation out there, as you can see, from 50.53 to 0.50, 0.78 to 0.74. So we would believe this is an improvement to the neighborhood, an improvement to the property, and an improvement over existing conditions.
Thank you. All right, let me see, no additional abutter comments. Any additional board questions for the applicants on any issue whatsoever? Anything beyond this new information? Any final questions you have for the applicant before I close public hearing?
Nope.
Well, I don't know as it's a question so much. I'd make the observation that as stated in the March 22nd minutes, the applicant combined the first two of the 5 variance questions, answering both of them together. Granting the variance would not be contrary to public interests, they say, and the spirit of the ordinance is observed. Well, those are 2 separate tests and 2 separate questions. But maybe I'm just getting too picky with it. There's proving that something is contrary to the public interest requires, I think, a higher level of proof that shows actual harm or some monetary damage or something. That's a very, very different standard of proof than that the spirit of the ordinance is observed. That's my observation.
I could answer why we did it that way. And if you look at a lot of, I think the case that I cited to during the March meeting was Farrar v. Keene. Actually, I heard the board talking about this while they were talking about their minutes before the meeting started. And what I had indicated was if the Supreme Court held in that case, Farrar v. Keene and several others, if you meet, in regard to those 2 criteria, if you meet one, you almost certainly meet the other because they are so closely related. So if you look at a lot of the Supreme Court cases, they the Supreme Court will address those 2 prongs together in one analysis and then move on to the remaining 3. And typically, yes, they can be different, but there usually is such substantial overlap that it's duplicative to address them separately. So for purposes of brevity and efficiency, I typically like to do them together. But if the board has any particular questions about specifically not contrary to the public interest or specifically spirit of the ordinance, I would certainly be happy to address those on a sort of individual level at this point.
I think my questions come from substantial justice, and I think I'm just looking at if the variance would have a significant adverse impact on an individual neighbor, even though the public in general is not harmed. That would seem to raise a significant doubt about the justice of the action. And that's consistent with the court's intent to prevent injury to the private rights of others, part of the 3rd prong of simplex. And looking at this, your 75-foot well radius does go onto an abutter's property on the other side of Big Buck. Minor concern, albeit, but that's an undeveloped piece of land. And the second case is the abutter that did give us a letter about the water that has been on her property in the past. So I think in my eyes there, it's if it's the same or unchanged, then that abutter would historically face more water coming onto the property during seasonal situations or extreme rain. And again, this is brief, it's not a long-term rain. So that's just for, I'm looking at the substantial justice part. So Mr. Allard, I'd love to hear from you on that.
Yes, thank you. The substantial justice analysis, if you're looking at it in terms of the one abutter who was opposed to this, I believe it was because of the water, and we did talk about the drainage. So if these variances are granted, either the drainage situation out there is going to stay exactly the same as it is right now, in which case there's no additional harm to the abutter, or it's going to improve, in which case we're improving the abutter's current drainage situation. So under no circumstances, as our expert report shows, are we going to make a drainage situation worse than it presently is. It will either remain the same or possibly improve a little bit. And really the substantial justice under the RSA 674-33 now, which superseded the standard from Simplex by statute that you referenced before, is the balancing test. And it is, the rights of the public versus the rights of the applicant. It's perfectly reasonable to consider the rights of abutters at the same time, but we can't see any situation where any abutters are harmed by the construction of this single family home. And I think Mr. Frankowitz's very detailed analysis shows that from a drainage perspective. And I think we've addressed it from a practical perspective too. So we do think there is substantial justice in granting these variances.
Thank you. Any other board member with general questions for the applicant? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And any additional comment by the applicant at this point? Nope.
I think we're all set. Thank you very much.
Okay, so board deliberations. So at this point with board deliberations, this is just the 5 of us. So do we want to keep the presentation up on the screen or see one another?
Kind of nice to take it down, I think.
Yeah, go ahead, take the presentation. Thank you. Board discussion, board deliberations. Let me start with Justin. Mr. Miller, any comments?
So they did a very good job with this presentation. I'm very impressed with what they came up with. So just kind of looking back at what we are here for, the lot size, it's pretty small, but then if you look back and if you remember, the last meeting we had, it's 2 proposed lots, the 2 lots they're merging, and it is going to be probably one of the biggest lots in that area. So I did like that point about merging those 2 lots, going to be a bigger lot. And then on the other aspect, the upland soils, I think Tom said it perfect last time is when we were discussing this was, they're building in that one spot that they can build in. And, Mr. Frankowitz did a great job showing us the water runoff and all the concerns with the drainage. So from all that, I mean, I'm impressed with it all. The numbers don't look that great. That's, it's pretty tough, but looking back, unnecessary hardship. Who would this be an unnecessary hardship for? Is it really the town or would it really be the applicant? That's a thing that's going through my head. So there's still some discussing, but I think I know which way I'm going on these. But I think they did a great job with presenting, providing us with additional information that we requested, and everything's right here in front of me. So it's, I'm impressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Wilkinson.
Let's see. I agree with everything that our chairman just said. It was a professional presentation. It was well argued. They made the best they could with a really tough lot. Sometimes eloquent arguments can win the day and can sway people's opinions, and that's all well and good. But one thing that cannot be changed and is not being changed is that this lot is even given the fact that it's potentially two merged lots at this point, it's still very, very short of the really basic requirement in the Northwood zoning ordinance. Exactly the same issue with the upland soils. Those are there in the ordinance for a reason. The townspeople approved all those. I personally, for other reasons, am not a big fan of 2-acre minimum zoning. Tends to be a little on the elitist side if you're trying to build affordable housing, but that's not what this case is about. And when I come to the question of whether or not the spirit of the ordinance is observed, in my opinion, it manifestly is not. I have no problem with the other things and the frontage and on and on and on and on, but I cannot, in good conscience, vote in favor of something that I believe is not true. And I do not believe that this is in the spirit of the ordinance that the people have passed. You know, if they change the ordinance, that would be a different story. But as things stand right now, that's my opinion.
Madam Chair, may I interrupt for just a moment, please?
Yes, please.
Is it my understanding that you're looking for just a general feedback from the members at this point, or because the testimony?
We're deliberating.
Okay. What I wanted to say is the testimony, just to be clear, the testimony for the specific criteria should be related to a motion on that specific item as the board moves forward. In other words, there should be a motion, a second on each of the variance requests with, I mean, you can go through it twice if you want, but I'm just saying that you'll need to do this again.
Interesting point. Board, do you wish to continue with general deliberations, or would you rather be specific for each variance?
In my opinion, I think we should just be more direct, not waste any time, and kind of move on. Why, in my opinion, why say it twice when, you know,
right? And then so deliberate generally on the two variances, and then make a motion, vote on one variance, make a motion, vote on the other.
However, you know, whatever you like.
Mr. Johnson, are you good with that?
Either way, we can make a motion now. That way we can establish our criteria for, you know, the lot size, and then do another motion later for the upland.
Sure. So Ted, thank you for your input, and Jason, excuse me, Justin. I'll get it one of these days. At this point, boy, it's a flip of a coin. I almost feel like we should each just say the piece generally and then move on to the actual motion, and that the motion will be specific to for or against, or whatever the specific reason for the for or against, would be when you vote, if you have anything to add to your vote. So I think we should just continue. We've already done two people. Mr. Johnson, your input, please. On both the kit and caboodle.
We're talking about the lot size, or on both?
We're on both as interrelated, but you are free to say for this, for that.
just like I spoke last month, I think this is a 50-year subdivision that was approved long ago. This is one of the last remaining lots, actually 2 lots. And it's going to be the 8th largest lot on tax map 125, with 60 some other lots that are 1/4 acre or less. So I think it's great that they're merging the 2 lots. It's going to be a little bit larger than 1/2 acre. The upland ratio, currently the ordinance is 2 acre lot with 50% upland. This has close to 52% upland area. The substantial justice and the value to the neighborhood, I think, is substantial, because this particular lot is a huge hole in the ground at an intersection that is suspect. There's no homeowners association for future maintenance. I can't see the town ever taking over these roads in terms of responsibility for upkeep. And by putting this house on that lot and building the grading up and controlling the runoff, I think it's going to do tremendous effort for the neighborhood in maintaining those 2 roads in the future. So I'm going to be in favor of both variances once we get to that point.
Thank you, Tom. Betsy, option, would you like me to go first, or would you want to bring up the rear?
You go first. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm champing at the bit. More than happy to. For myself, I have been in a quandary. I visited the site quite a number of times. Walked it, thought about it, viewed it, tried to consider the neighborhood, both in what Mr. Johnson just said, the improvement, because it is a terrible little lot the way it looks. I concur. The way the people have been dumping lawn debris, the gravel and plow stuff just coming up on it. It's not very sightly, and as it is a entrance, a gateway to that beach area, it would be nice if it was not an unpleasant little corner. I had to wrap my head around the 2 acre zoning ordinance and the spirit of the ordinance, looking at crowding, looking at neighborhood, looking at excessive traffic. This apartment building going in, it's a small house, 2-bedroom, and because it fits. This is where I kind of had one of those reckonings with myself that, this is a case of that 0.53 acres. The merging of the 2 properties allows it to fit, the building to fit with that driveway. I would like to say that, yeah, it's way too small. It's way too small, but it fits. It makes it within the requirements. It makes it within where it has to be, and it is the only spot that it can be. It is the only relief to this owner. So I actually, in terms of the lot size, I'm leaning towards accepting it, not overall being convinced of the whole substantial justice. But I am in my mind going, it fits. And what else could be done with this property? The other part that I really, really have an issue with is the upland slope and that stream wetland area at the bottom of the property. And I have to get my mind around this also. I think the absence of data and all on that was a little bothersome, but there is a really good point that I think Mr. Frankowitz and Mr. Allard make, in that it cannot get worse. It's like you're looking at its current or perhaps a potential improvement with the drainage where there is none on that property. They're going a full distance to put in drainage and accommodation that might might help the tremendous runoff that comes from both roads down into that wetland and divert it so that it is going in, especially on the Bigelow Road side where it is going through the better culvert, and that would be your lowland side. So with that flow going to that region, and I still am concerned with the culvert on Big Buck Road, and the only quandary I would have, Mr. Johnson, you said in maintaining roads. As those are private roads, we have no effect on that. And with private roads, those homeowners in both roads, Bigelow and Big Buck, have to do it themselves and pay for that road maintenance. So this I see as kind of a good neighbor thing that I wish that abutters and everybody could sit down beforehand and work these things out, because the culvert on Big Buck is not in great shape. It's not on this property, but it's contributory to this property. And it's going to need some work at some point. And this property benefits from that work. So I can't make that a stipulation, as these are private roads. So herein is the end of the jurisdiction. While I would like to have something in there about the road maintenance, can't, not my purview. So I actually am tending to be in favor of both of these variances. So, Ms. Coburn, you may go ahead.
I'll be short. I agree with some of the issues that Tom has brought up and that you've brought up, and it's going to be an improvement. We can't do anything about the town roads. It looks like, the drainage is going to improve, can't get any worse. So I'm in favor of both of them.
Okay. All right, are we ready to have a motion? So if we could take a motion on the first variance. This is Article 4B2, subsection B, for lot size that does not meet the zoning ordinance. Combined lots have 5.53 acres where 2 acres are required. We'll entertain a motion.
I'd make one, but I don't have the actual verbiage in front of me that the posting was written. So I'll start by motion to approve and let somebody fill in the rest.
So motion to approve what I just read.
The lot size, yes.
All right. Pending all permits and the usual line that we put in. Susan, that codicil to the end. Do we have a second? Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, Madam Chair, when you have a second, I have 2 housekeeping items to bring to your attention.
I'll second it.
I would suggest to the board that should you vote in the affirmative to approve, that you consider adding that the merger of the lots be recorded at the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds as part of the approval, and that 2 copies of the stamped updated plans be provided to the town office for your signature.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, will you amend your motion?
So amended.
Thank you. Susan, do you have that correct for Mr. Johnson's motion?
Yeah,
With
I got it.
with Linda's amendments and the other codicil of all paperwork.
State, local, and
Yes,
all
thank
permits.
you. Permits. Betsy was a second on that. Let's go through the voting. I will start with Mr. Miller. I'll do the same order that we just did. So Mr. Miller, how do
Yes.
you vote? Thank you. Mr. Wilkinson,
No, reluctantly.
thank you. Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Coburn,
Yes.
thank you. And I will vote affirmative. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you for that. The second variance is Article 4, Section B, 2, subsection D, upland soil. The 2 lots have 0.28 acres. of contiguous upland soil where 1.0 acres of contiguous upland soil is required. I suggest whoever makes the motion include the phrases that Linda just gave us on the permit thing. Just get that into both variances.
Motion to approve the upland variance request with the condition that the two lots are merged and recorded and the engineered plans are stamped and received in the planning department.
And all necessary state and local permits obtained. Do we have a second on upland slope?
Second it.
Second by Ms. Coburn. All right, I will do the same roll as we spoke. So Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson,
No.
thank you. Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
okay. Ms. Coburn?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I myself will go approved. So the motion carries vote of 4-1. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I turn the helm of the Starship Enterprise back over to you.
Thank you, Pam. Mr. Johnson, I want to thank you for sitting on that rehearing case. We appreciate you taking the time to join us for that case.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All right, so Mr. Johnson has left. We are gonna add Brenda DiMatteo back in the meeting. Brenda, are you here? Yep, she's here, and she is added to the voting designation. All right, so we are on to case 21-1, Kim Bonifant and Vince Eugene, 426 Bow Lake Road, map 105, lot 21. That's their actual physical address. The application is for 427 Bow Lake Road, tax map 102, lot 21. And the applicant is proposing to build a year-round residential home and requests the following relief. Ms. Bonifant and Mr. Eugene, I see they are here. All right. So last meeting, we went through the criteria for each section, for each variance. I'll do is I'll see if Ms. Bonifant or Mr. Eugene have anything further to add. Ms. Bonifant and Mr. Eugene, do you have anything further, or are you content with what you provided last week?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, we're good with what we spoke of last month.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments, any abutters, anybody that would like to speak on behalf of this case present?
Yes, this is Brian Clancy.
Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
Good. What would you like to say, sir?
Do I address my my questions to you, Mr. Miller, or do it?
Yes, sir,
to the,
please.
To the okay, I had sent in an email. And I apologize that I wasn't on the last meeting, but it was my understanding that I was going to be contacted if it was, and if I wasn't, then it probably was going to be on the meeting. But I'm going to take ownership for that. Okay. But I did have the opportunity to watch the YouTube video and had some questions and concerns. What's the difference then between a winterization of a home or a refurbishment and a tear down and rebuild in regard to zoning?
Okay. So you want to know what the difference between The tear down and a de-winterization, is that correct?
Yeah, I was wondering what the difference is in winterizing a home.
Yep.
And taking it down and building a different size home, a
Okay,
larger home.
all right.
I guess I was looking for some information and just, I was also had some concerns about, for instance, the applicant in the video, I know, had stated that she lives across the street. Will this now be her primary residence, or will this become a vacation rental property or seasonal rental property? I also noticed that they're going from a 30 to 32 to a 30 by 50, which is a little bit more than just a winterization of a home. It's going to a larger size. And then I also had a concern about a 3-car garage exists across the front of the building. Will there be a driveway from the road from each bay? And is there therefore a concern for water runoff if it is paved or hard covered? I was also concerned about, could there at some point be any additional structures added to that property? And then the other concern I had with the 3-car garage, can this property be converted to a dual use commercial residential use? Or could the garages be converted to additional living spaces, bedrooms in the future?
Mr.
All right.
Chairman, I can answer some of the zoning questions if that would be helpful.
Absolutely, that'd be great, Linda.
But I need to go one by one if you could go back again.
Sure.
You must
Okay.
have a list there.
The first statement I had, I don't know if this is zoning or not. What's the difference between a winterization of a home or a refurbishment and they tear down and rebuild in regard to zoning?
Well, there is, in 2020, the voters adopted a seasonal to year-round conversion of which would include, I guess there is a seasonal structure of some type on the property, and they intend to remove that and put a year-round home on it, or a residential unit. So the lot is non-conforming, so you go to the non-conforming section of the zoning ordinance, and it allows that to occur if the applicant meets the criteria under seasonal to year-round conversion. They do not on several of the items in there, and that's why they have applied for the variance. So their variance is to that non-conforming section of the ordinance.
Okay, and the next major one, I guess, there was one I had asked about whether it was going to be a primary residence or a vacation rental property. But the other one is they're taking down, from what I understand, approximately a 30 by 32 and building a 30 by 50. which
Right,
increase-
there's a residential unit there now, even though it is seasonal. So if they were granted a variance for the conversion, then there would be nothing that would prevent the increase in the square footage.
Okay,
doesn't-
perfect. Perfect.
Doesn't impact the setbacks. As far as a vacation rental versus whether somebody lives there, there's absolutely nothing that in the zoning ordinance or that the town can control over those type of things. And understand, they could get this approval and next week sell it to somebody who uses it for a home to live in, or they can rent it out or do whatever.
Okay. Is there any concerns with it ever being used as a resident? I'm sorry, as a commercial with the 3-car garage?
If there was an application for that conversion to occur, they would have to go to the planning board and be approved for a site plan approval for a non-residential use of the property.
And if they were to do that without the approval of the town, does the town have authorization to prevent that from happening?
Yes, if they were to operate a business in those garage units or anywhere on the property without site plan approval, the town could do either a stop work order or a cease and desist, depending on the status of what was happening.
Okay, could the garages be converted to additional living spaces, bedrooms in the future without town approval?
No.
No,
No.
no, this lot is, the state has said that they would not, because of the loading, and my understanding on the septic, what they've applied for is the maximum they can have for a residential unit on that lot. It's not to say they couldn't increase a bedroom size or something, but they can't go larger on the septic unless in the future there was the state allowed or gave them a waiver for a different system. But what the state is saying now is that what they've applied for is what this lot will handle.
Okay, so with that said, like I said, I was looking for more information than I was that I really had a serious concern. I think I have no concerns then as a butter. I just was trying to get some clarification. The reason I spoke is that I own another home in New Hampshire in Moulton Borough, and they weren't, I don't think the town was as cautious as what you guys are. And there's been some really reduction in a butter's property values because of things that have happened, you know, being converted to commercial use, or somebody had converted another home into actually 2 rental units. And then there was an abundance of vehicles in the driveways, and they were out onto the streets, and it really affected the property value of homeowners in the area. But I guess my questions were more for the town than for anything else. So you guys sound like you have your ducks in a row and you know what you're doing. So I feel comfortable with the proposal if my say has anything to say for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other butters or anybody that'd like to speak? Did we get any correspondence in regards to this case, Linda or Susan?
Yeah.
That I'm aware of, no.
No. All right. Let's see. Anything from any board members? Actually, you know what? At this point, I think the board members, do you guys have enough information? Do you have any other information that you need from the applicant before we close any public comments or anything else from the applicant? We'll start with Ted. Ted, do you need anything further?
No, I'm good on this. I would make the distinction between this proposal, this case, and the last one. In this case, there is an existing old rundown house that's going to get demoed. And yes, there will be a new structure right across the road, but that's obviously benefiting the neighborhood and improving a bad situation, as opposed to the case that we just voted on, where there is no building there. And so I don't have a problem with any of these 3 variance requests in this particular case.
All right, I'm just going to stop for 1 second and just close public comment at this point.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, did the applicant have anything they wanted to add?
I started with them. We'll go back to them after the abutter made his comments, see if they have anything further. Ms. Bonifant, Mr. Eugene, do you have anything further to add?
We do not.
No. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, Pam, do you need anything further from the applicant at this point?
I do not, other than just to confirm that we are correct with our 427 Bow Lake Road address and the map 102. Are we correct with 102, or which is right, the 105 or the 102?
So all of the records with the town state map 105 lot 21, but our septic plan, which was done, a while back, does state map 102 lot 21. I know that way back in the day, it was 2 lots and then it was combined. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I'm going off of lot 105, map 105, lot 21.
So
And
perhaps
for-
Linda could confirm which one it is, so we have it correct.
And 427 Bull Lake Road is the correct address.
Yeah, I don't have the bandwidth to call up our website for.
That's what I'm trying to pull up right now.
Your website says the map 105, lot 21, along with all of the town records.
That tax thing that we use, yeah, it says 105.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So that's what it should be, 105. So understanding that your septic plan is from what year?
Yeah, this was an old one, 2008.
Yeah, that's not that old, not for a septic plan. And it also says that existing septic system is not in failure. Owner wishes to improve existing house. So I'm good.
All right, Brenda, do you have anything you're looking for?
Not really. The septic plan also, it makes it look like it's for 127 Bow Lake Road.
Yeah, it says 427 Bow Lake Road on.
Yes.
Yeah. And it should?
Is that, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
427
The,
Bow Lake
the only thing
Road.
that's wrong is the only thing that's different is the map and lot. So I almost wonder if
Yeah.
whoever did this made a mistake. Because 2008 isn't before we changed, we went
Yeah,
into the system
typo.
now.
Typos
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure that's all it is. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be sure that we were looking at the proper septic plan.
Betsy, do you have anything for the applicant? Do you need any further information?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. I'm good also. What I'd like to start with is stand by. Let me get this. I'd like to start with the road frontage, if the board members are fine, and work my way up. Do the road frontage first, followed by the lot size, and then followed by the replacement of non-conforming seasonal camp to conforming year-round home, if everybody is fine with that. If anybody is looking for a motion for the road frontage, Article 4B1C1, anybody is interested?
Mr. Chairman, before you
Yes.
start on that road, the actual public notice was changed because the variance is for the non-conforming section. Originally, the original application was based on looking at the general portion of the zoning ordinance. But what they are actually appealing is because they have a non-conforming lot. And I don't know why, I'm looking at the agenda and I did notice that it had the old numbers on it, but it's actually, they're asking for an appeal to the seasonal to year-round conversion based on the items within that.
Okay. So all we are hearing is just that, yeah, like you said.
You could take a 1-minute recess. I can probably send that to Susan and then she could screen share it.
Good idea.
Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, can we do that? Take a like less than 5 minutes, use the bathroom if you need to, and then we'll come right back to that screen sharing. Thank you.
Dun, 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 dun.
One, two, three. Oh, yeah.
I had the right page for one.
All right, so before Susan screen shared this, I believe I saw everybody.
Do you want me to?
Just for 1 second, Susan, if you don't mind, just so I can make sure everybody's here and we can continue. Pam, Brenda, Ted, Betsy, myself, Ms. Bonifant.
I was nervous because for all the screen sharing I let other people do, I've never done it. So I was just excited to get it up there.
All right, so we're back. Whenever you get a chance, Susan, if you want to screen share that again, just.
There you go.
So Linda, so I'm clear, this case, they are a variance on this section, 7D. Is that correct? Well, I'll assume that because
Can you,
7D.
Susan, can you scroll down to 7D3 so that's
7D3.
showing?
Here? Is that right? Right here?
Right, yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Yep.
So when it's a non-conforming lot and you're looking at something in the zoning ordinance, you go to the non-conforming section first
Uh-huh.
to find out, well, what do you need to do? And so 7D3 says, and A is highlighted, as you can see, that the lot and structure must comply with all provisions of Section 4 General District. What that says basically is the lot and the structure, Section 4D means road frontage, lot size, and in this case, so instead of going with the separate items in the standard portion of the zoning ordinance,
Mm-hmm.
this specifically addresses existing non-conforming lots of record. So it's basically saying you may convert a seasonal dwelling to year-round occupancy on a non-conforming lot if you meet all the provisions of Section 4. They do not meet it for either lot size or road frontage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you vote to approve 4D3A and grant them the appeal, then it covers all of that. If you find that there's a portion of that that you do not approve, then you would have to state on the record what aspect of the development you do not approve. State your reasons.
Okay,
But they have provided testimony, I believe, on both lot size and road frontage.
correct. All right. All right. So given that, guess we can move forward if anybody has a motion in reference to 7D3.
I will make a motion to approve Article 7, Section D2, the replacement of non-conforming seasonal camp with a conforming year-round home for plans, 147 feet of frontage where 150 feet is required, and 0.31 acres where 2 acres is required, pending submission of all state and local permits. And I see it's substantial justice in that in going through 7D3 and 7D4, which would be prohibited expansion, that the 147 feet of frontage is still very close to 150, that it might as well be. And the 0.31 acres, while normally would be of great concern, there is already an existing building there vacant that does really need to be replaced, will be for the betterment of the community. So other than that, it meets the other criteria for where it is placed, septic system, and we have that permitting. So my motion is to accept the variance.
We got a motion. We have a motion by Pam. Do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second that.
Second by Ted. Any further discussion?
May I
Yep, go.
clarify for the record, did she not, I thought I heard her say
That-
4 something.
That was 72, she said.
I said 7, Section D2, and then I mentioned that I felt it was okay with 7D3 and 7D4, as it has to be within 7D2. And that it was within the frontage and lot size, which would be in 7D3.
Thank you for that clarification.
It was a confusing clarification.
Well, 7D2 is applicability. That's why I didn't understand that.
Yeah, what we have is the case, which is a variance for 7D2, but you can't vote for 7D2 unless you have looked at D3 and D4.
Which we have done.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So we got the motion. We got a second by Ted. Any further discussion on this variance? Hearing none, we will proceed to a roll call vote. Pam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Brenda?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
And myself, Justin, is also yes.
So we don't have to vote on the other ones, right? Because we've already accepted this.
If you accepted 7B,
D2.
B3, which is the need to have lot size and road frontage, if you granted relief to that, then that's all you need to do. Because that's all that they've asked for.
Well, the motion was for the 72 with compliance in 73.
Okay, same idea. Yeah.
So that,
Yeah, I think that got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
as long as it's in there. All right. I guess that's the end of case 21-1. We don't need to vote for the other two.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, you have your new case.
Yes.
Just making sure you didn't forget.
Oh, no. No. Thank you, Susan.
We're packed up and halfway home.
Nope, you can't leave yet.
All right.
And I see Jeff's here. I don't know if he's.
Can
paying
you
attention.
ask if, Jeff, are you on our meeting? Because
Yes,
he's-
he's here.
he's here, but I just want to make sure he was with us. He was at another meeting earlier.
Yeah,
Oh.
thank you. Sorry about that. I had a headphone issue just now.
All right. So we'll move to a new case, case 21-3, Co-Brown Northwood Academy, 907 First New Hampshire Turnpike, map 217, lot 1. Applicant is proposing the expansion of the existing parking lot near Wigan Hall within the 20-foot front and side setbacks, and request the following relief: a variance to Article 4, Section 1 setbacks. And we, who do we have for the representative for Co-Brown?
Yeah, my name is Jeffrey Oliva. I'm an engineer with Civil Consultants, and I'm here representing Co-Brown for this project. So, Mr. Chairman, how would you like me to start? Give a history or answer questions?
How about we'll start with just giving kind of an overview of the project. Then we'll see if any board members or any public have any input, and then we'll go through the questions, the criteria. And due to this being electronic format, we have 2 meetings until we deliberate. So this is just one of 2 meetings. So we'll probably get through your questions this evening, and then we'll come back next month, or whenever we decide works well for the end of it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so do you want to give an overview?
Sure. Again, I'm Jeff with Civil Consultants. We've been working with the Co-Brown, with the Academy since 2007, when we were hired to help with initially come up with a master plan. And through that master plan, we did a bunch of development across the street with the new athletic fields and the addition to Smith Hall and items like that. So we've been back in front of the planning board for a couple items, and the last one was for the expansion to Wigan Hall. After that was constructed, the Academy came to us and asked us to help them look at expanding the parking lot that was on the side to the west of Wigan Hall. And if I could share my screen, I'm going to flip through 2 pages if that's good. All right. So, yep. So the first one I'm going to share is a close-up of the condition of the parking lot to the west of Wigan Hall. This is Wigan Hall, and this represents the addition that we did. Up on the top of the page, and there's a lot of dots in here because this is our existing conditions plan. This is the driveway entrance that comes in off of Route 4. We have some parking that is located here, and then there was primarily visitor and staff parking on the west in this gravel parking lot that was here, and it fit about 9 to 13 cars, and they jammed them all in here with no organization, and they sometimes block the access road that goes out to the back of the building. And this access road goes down behind. It allows for deliveries to Wigan Hall and to the Science Building for the cafeteria and just general deliveries to the building. So we had this parking lot over here. After they did the nice addition to Wigan Hall, they said, okay, Jeff, help us design a new addition that gives as many spaces as we can over here. They went through and worked with their site contractor to work with us to get some pricing. And they then went to code enforcement office, and code enforcement office apparently told them yep, go ahead, you can do that. We'll proceed with what you're going to do in your design. So what we did is we knew that we were within the shoreland zone. So we went and prepared a plan here that represents an expansion to that parking lot in this area. Zooming in, wait for that to catch up. Okay. And I'm not sure if everybody's screen caught up, but mine seems to be lagging quite a bit. Okay.
Mine too.
So what we did was we went and we pursued a New Hampshire DES shoreland permit for the work. We addressed some major site drainage issues. The existing conditions had some site drainage that had a piping that discharged down the slope, and it was creating a big erosion pocket that was down at the outlet of the pipe. What we've done here with this design was to capture all the stormwater in this underground storage area to be able to treat it, slow it down before it's discharged down towards and eventually makes its way to the lake. We've got a retaining wall that due to the slope here creates the edging of the parking, and we've gone from an area that had 9 parking spaces to 24 parking spaces that are delineated to move through with this. So the project was really started in 2019, 2020, and the green light was given by the past code enforcement officer. Work starts to happen out here on the site, and we have Bruce Hodgson is doing the work out here. He's gets the site going. He's got his erosion control up. He's starting to work on the retaining wall. The retaining wall is all installed, and there was a stop work order put in place. So until we decided to figure out, okay, yeah, we'll stop work, what's next, realize that this project really didn't have the authorization from the previous code enforcement officer. It has to go to the planning board for a minor site plan. We do submit the minor site plan, then it comes to realize, okay, great, we designed this project, and a portion of the parking stalls up here encroach onto the front setback, and then a small section down here of the parking area encroaches in the side setback. So Linda brought it to our attention here that we needed to come to seek a variance to allow the parking to be in the setbacks of the property line. I know it may not necessarily be relevant, but along this area here, we do have some existing parking along Wigan Hall that's in the front setback along Route 4. And then if we go further to the south, there is the parking that's by the tunnel that's along that is also located in the setback of Route 4. But as we move forward here, I guess really what it is to look to seek relief for the parking that's under construction, to allow that to continue to be completed, that is located in that setback area. As I mentioned, as the stop work order was issued, the retaining wall was complete. So we have this retaining wall over here. Bruce Hodgson went through and made the site kind of stable and made sure that we had all the proper drainage in here so that we didn't have any erosion issues while it sat dormant. And then realistically, it kind of also sat dormant because right about the time when this was starting to go, it was right in the beginning of the pandemic in April, and it just kind of sat there, not being used, which is good. But here we are, a year later, back in front of the boards of the town of Northwood to try to seek approval for this project.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Oliva. Now, any abutters or anybody have any public comment on this project? Please, my attention.
Would you like me to stop sharing or keep this?
Yeah,
sharing?
Mr. Oliva, do you mind just stop sharing for right now?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add a comment, just one point of clarification. This request is for setback encroachment of paving, which comes under our zoning ordinance of a man-made surface. It is not in any way approving those front parking spaces that will have to be, you're simply approving that they can pave within that 20-foot setback per that proposed plan. The planning board has jurisdiction and will require that a waiver be granted for those parking spaces up front. That's not something this board can do. You
Okay.
can approve a setback, but not, you don't have jurisdiction over the parking itself.
Sure. Thank you. Nothing from the public now. Any board members? Pam, do you have anything for Mr. Oliva? Did you have anything?
Just really quickly, in looking at the plan, I see the encroachment over by the guardrail and retaining wall. It's just a small little snippet there in the setback. The top setback is, I'm looking, there's one that's the 250 setback from high water. And then there's another line that I don't see an identification on. Is it just the front of the front parking lot that we're talking about, the very front, or is it a little further into that 250 line?
It would be right in the front. If you can see that there's kind of a dash dot line that kind of runs parallel to the edge of the pavement right through the 7 on the site plan. That's where we feel the best location of the where the edge of the right of way line is. It's a little unclear here based on the New Hampshire DOT right of way plans. But looking at the geometry, because this is also on a curve,
Sure.
and looking at the monuments that our surveyors have found, this is where we think the 20 foot this is where we think the 20 foot setback would be. The solid line out further towards Route 4. I mean, I think that could go a couple inches either way, but that's where we feel that the best location of that setback is.
And I would just ask that the nature of Route 4 and the runoff from Route 4 can at times be tremendous. So, have you thought about any, I'm not sure what the terrain right there is, but by putting this paved surface in, within, so close to Route 4, is there going to be adequate drainage for the runoff from Route 4 since you're in that region? Do you think we've got adequate drainage right in front there?
Yeah. So if we were on the site, what we would see is that the high point of Route 4 is really at the edge of this pavement, and it's kind of super elevated. It pitches a little bit back towards the east and the area down through here. So what we did with our drainage analysis is that we do know that there is water that comes through the main entrance.
Usually, Mr. Vella, if you want to share your screen, so if that works, so then we can see what you're talking about.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go through here. There we go.
Thank you.
Perfect. So if we look at the area, this edge of the shade, and if you can see my mouse moving back and forth, that's the edge of pavement on Route 4. It tapers back a little bit up through here because it's super elevated and it pitches to the east. There is some stormwater that comes down through the entrance by Wigan Hall. But when we did our analysis, yes, we did. We look at all the water that's influenced through that whole area that comes into here and comes into this existing catch basin, and the water that would flow down through here, we're capturing it and treating it in through our new stormwater system that's buried under the ground, under the parking in this section.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
All right,
And-
so
Yep.
we're just
Sorry.
looking, our jurisdiction is simply that little corner by the retaining wall and the upper strip there that's within that 20-foot setback. So, all right, yeah, it was always a question of that kind of drainage off of Route 4.
Yeah, and we did accommodate for that drainage in our stormwater review based on our information that we did in-house and that went off for New Hampshire DES for review for the shoreline permit as well. Yeah, and again, Linda, I think you can correct me on this. Is that this is because we would like to pave the parking area in the setback. I think if we were to keep it gravel, it may not necessarily need to have a variance, but we feel but paving that in these areas would be the best alternative.
That is correct. If that remained gravel, however, the parking spaces would still have to come back. That's the planning board's jurisdiction, but.
Yeah.
Right.
But as far as the zoning board here, it's purely for the
pavement itself.
Pavement. Yeah.
Regardless of what goes on top of it, whether it's parking or just extra land or whatever. In that little edge of the retaining wall.
Yeah.
The sliver of parking next to it.
All right. Pam, anything further?
No, I think I got my questions answered very nicely. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Brenda, do you have any questions or concerns for the applicant?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Ted, do you have anything?
No concerns. I'm sorry for all of the timing delays and bureaucratic snafus and COVID and oh my goodness. I'm glad I don't have the contract to do that work, but I think this is a fine project.
All right. And Betsy, do you have anything?
I'm good.
All right. I think it's fine. I'm fine. I don't have any further questions or anything for the applicant. Mr. Oliva, at this point, what I'll do is I'll read the question. We'll go through the 5 questions here. And if you just want to give me your response, we can go one at a time. So this is a variance from Article 4, Section 1. So granting the variance would not be contrary to public interest because.
Yep, and our application said the project is intended to expand the existing parking near Wigan Hall. The proposed parking lot provides the necessary parking spaces for staff and visitors while improving traffic circulation and flow and safety in that area to the west of the Wigan Hall area.
All right. The use is not contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because.
The use is accessory to the school, and it allows for additional parking associated with the school along that side. And it's really just an expansion of what's the facilities on the campus.
All right. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because.
The site work has already been started due to the owner's understanding from the previous code enforcement officer that no permits were required for the project. And the work has since halted to complete a minor site plan review. And the variance would allow for the expanded use of the parking in the area.
The proposed use would not diminish surrounding property values because.
Again, the use is an accessory to the school. The school already has other parking facilities on the property. This is an expansion of the existing parking area, and it would not significantly alter the site conditions. And what it actually does is with the improved stormwater flows, it controls and takes care of an existing erosion issue with existing piping that discharges down the slope.
All right. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because the special conditions of this property that distinguish it from other properties in the area are as follows.
That's an interesting one, and it's kind of always hard to try to figure out which one, A or B. So I guess what we looked at is the fact is that the property, the school needs the adequate parking for the facility, and the existing parking that was on that side, which precipitated us to do this design, was unsafe in that there was a haphazard way of parking. There was erosion that was occurring due to the pipe outlet that was there on that side of the property. And the new design takes care of safety issues where now vehicles won't have to back out into an access way. That's a kind of a one-way circulation path. It doesn't block the deliveries, and it gives a better delineated and safer area for parking for staff on that side of the campus.
All right. Owing to the special conditions of the property set forth above that distinguish it from other properties in the area.
Yeah, I think we looked at the again, the fact that the fact that the property was that the project started with understanding that permits were not needed for the expansion of this project. But then now looking at the zoning ordinance and getting a better feel now, it's something that should have been probably caught in the beginning, and most likely based on the nature of the shoreland zone and the other areas, we probably would have be back here or in front of the zoning board at some point to try to seek relief anyways to be able to properly fit in the additional parking spaces required to fit into that space with our design.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong. That was A1 and A2 you just answered?
Yeah, I tried to blend those two together. Yeah.
Okay. If you're fine with that, I'm good with that. Well, at that point, anybody have anything for the applicant at this point? I'm not hearing or seeing anything. So like I said, Mr. Avella, at the beginning of this case, we just listened to testimony. We're going to give the public or any abutters time to comment on anything that they feel about this case, and that'll be 10 days prior to the next meeting. And then at the next meeting, we'll continue this case. So we're looking for a motion to continue 21-3.
Motion to continue case 21-3 to May 24th, 2021. All comments or additional items need to be received. Is 10 days good by the 14th of May?
Good. 10 days.
10 days.
Okay,
Yeah,
that works.
That's what we usually ask for.
All right. Got a.
Is there anything the board would, did you get a second on that?
No, not yet.
Not yet, no.
Okay, I'll wait.
I'll second the motion we're continuing to time and date certain. I believe that would be 6:30 on the date specified in May. Is that
Correct.
24th? Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
thank you, Ted.
I was just going to add before you vote on that, I believe I may have some additional information that he provided on the details of the drainage. If anybody wants to look at them, I could send that out between now and then, or if you're satisfied, then
Is it email?
sure.
Yeah, if it's a
I mean,
PDF,
they
I'll
want to look
take
at
a look at
the
it.
drainage details. It's
Yeah,
We
I already
have the
sent
book,
them, so I have them.
we have the booklet, which is pretty thorough on,
You got the booklet.
Oh, okay, then you don't need anything else, really.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I
you're
think
looking at pavement, not, except for the
Right.
retaining wall, which is part of the drainage.
right. But we have the schematics on the drainage and groundwater and holding
Okay.
tanks concerns.
So you're all set.
Yes, thank you, Linda. So we got a motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Pam,
Yes.
Brenda,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Betsy,
Yes.
and myself, Justin, is yes. Mr. Oliva, we'll see you next month at 6:30.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.
Good night. All right. Any internal business to discuss?
I just have one question.
one?
I know that we did a election of officers fairly recently. Typically, that's done when the new appointments are done or the reappointments are done. Are you fine with just going forward for 2021 as approved? I think it was like January or February we changed. Do you want to have an election of officers next month or?
Yeah, I think we're good. I like the way it's set up. It's functioning well.
I would prefer a mutiny. That would be fun.
Don't let them go, that's all.
No, you kidding? If by the time he cannot leave until I remember his name correctly.
Justin Miller time.
There you go.
Just in time.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Never live it down. Yeah, so it sounds like, Linda, I think it sounds like everybody's good with that. Unless somebody-
I hope so. That's good.
We'll
I just need to ask to make sure, so I'm not assuming anything that the board might not be in favor of.
Thank you
So
for
we'll
bringing
go
that up.
forward with the slate of officers we have,
Good.
and we'll see you next month.
Affirmative.
Great.
Yeah. Got a motion?
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion. Second. All in favor, raise your hands.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you all.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Night. Let me leave.